Alright guys, I just wanted to make a quick video that's sort of a follow-up to my video about Concord and why art direction matters. Why it is, in fact, probably one of the most, if not the most important part of a successful cultural product, whether that is music or film or television, comic books, movies, video games, whatever. And we're going to be looking at Marvel Rivals and how it does art direction much better than Western developers do. I talked about in my video about Concord, which I will link in the description, how I compared it to the art direction in games like Overwatch, as well as lesser known games like Battleborn and Paladins, and how those games all did this art direction very well. And it's based on, at least for starters, you have things like color theory, which are very important, that Concord also gets wrong. How to, create good, let's say, aesthetically pleasing hero characters with their silhouettes, and that's a big part of it, as well as other things like how you pose them, what their posture looks like. It says everything. It's how it speaks to the player. Okay, so Marvel Rivals is made by a developer called NetEase. It's a Chinese company, and they are doing Western representation better than Western developers are. And there is a lesson that we should be taking from this. So I'm going to show you guys a couple of examples, and I want you to think about what is unremarkable or why a game like Concord failed, where Marvel Rivals has clearly succeeded. So first we're going to look at a few of the heroes here. We'll bring up some of the classics that people know. We'll start off with Black Panther. So this is how, notice right off the bat, you have a very strong silhouette, clearly like an athletic build, but kind of hunched like a predator, which is what he should look like. He's got the ears. It looks really good. The cell shaded or kind of like comic book filter on this it only adds to it, but it's not really the most important thing. It really comes down to just like how they, captured the spirit of the character. And if you, we can zoom in a little bit, even on this, you see how the hand is, and just the posture and the positioning of the character is very strong. All right, let's look at one that's Captain America. And again, it's you see you got the ears, or not the ears, the wings on the mask and the shield. If you were to just turn this into a silhouette, it would be strong on its own. You would know at least that it's a strong masculine figure holding a circular shield. So, just really well done. And again, this is a Chinese company. Like they get this. And let's look at another one. Let's look at Doctor Strange. I want you to look at these. Knowing who these characters are is helpful, but even if you didn't, you would get the sense of what kind of character this person is. Even if it was just the silhouette or like the basic shapes, Note the collar and the cape. This is all, very important details. We'll go with something a little bit unhuman like Groot. And you can see, again, very, very strong silhouette, like looks very woodsy. If you only saw like the outline, you might think it could be stone, but these little leaves here are a nice touch that show you there's, it's more of a vegetative state. There's some mushrooms on the ankles there. It's very, very cool. And there's a little flower. Why can't we do this in the States? Why can't we have stuff like this? It's because of ideological possession at the end of the day. One of the great silhouettes is this of Hela. This was, I don't know if you guys know this, if you're comic nerds like me, but one of my all-time favorite comic artists, Walt Simonson, who had a tremendous run of Thor. He also did X Factor, which was a pretty good book too. But he came up with, he's the one who gave us this iconic Hela design with the helmet or whatever that is on her head. It just looks super cool. And again, just look at how they stand. It's got personality oozing out of, not all the women are not generic. The female characters are all over the map in terms of like what they, you know, how they present. Here's Black Widow, and they look like women. They look feminine, but that doesn't mean that they're like, you know, pornographic objects. They're just attractive, and that's what it should be. Like, you know, this is, we're not operating in reality. We're operating in a kind of, you know, fantasy. It's escapism. The same thing with the men. They're supposed to be ideal. Let's take a look at Loki. He's got a good, a very cool looking silhouette as well. And you can see the horns on his helmet are very cool. And it tells you what you're looking at. He's got the staff and this furry, you know, cloak here. Looks pretty dope. So, you know, this is what's drawing people in to play the game. It is ultimately comes down to the art style and how well that is executed. Look at Mantis, another character with antennas, or at least like something on their head, so that you can see again, you know, another female character, not necessarily, you know, sexy, but attractive and appealing. You know, kind of alien, kind of fairy-like, and it's definitely got its own appeal. Let's see, what's another one that's pretty good? Well, Rocket, you can look at this one. And, yeah, again, just a really strong silhouette. The designs take some liberties. He's got this kind of mohawk going on, but it's just to make the silhouette stronger. And, of course, there are skins that will, you know, change things around a little bit, but you get the basic gist. The big fluffy tail, you know, the obvious animal, you know, features, and the large gun. They all like make the character just super appealing. Venom is a really good one too. And the thing is, with the way that they do all of this, it's extra well done, because they're actually following the rules. The sort of unwritten rules, but there are rules to doing comic books in the West. And I used to have this book called How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. It's not like the end all be all. It's not like the Bible of design, but it is like a great starting point. And there's a lot of other people that have done stuff like this, and a lot of it has to do with like the dynamic poses and shapes of the characters. So every character has their own, you know, presence that you're supposed to embody. It's not really about how well you draw the anatomy. It's about how you use your knowledge of anatomy and balance and symmetry or asymmetry to sort of like create a strong impression about a personality of a character, about what they embody. And yeah, Venom is a really great example. There's not a lot going on in terms of design. It's just black and white and maybe the mouth, right? But they do something with the way that he stands, the way that he expresses himself, and the way that he moves around. This is super appealing, because when people play video games, they want to embody like the character they're playing, or at least when men play video games, that's generally what they want. Women tend to want to, you know, essentially have themselves reflected in something. They want to like become like the person, or they want the person, they want the person in the game to be more like them. Whereas in general, men want to be more, they want to like have this fantasy of being, you know, a space marine, or being a soldier in World War II, or being Venom. And so, you know, the more you capture that in your design, the better it's going to work. Not all of these are huge successes. I know people had problems with Wolverine, but I think they get like they still get the spirit of it. And also, there's no reason why a Western company couldn't do this. So what am I getting at here? So this is a follow-up to the old video, okay? When Concord failed, it was like 9 days or 10 days after it launched. there was a lot of cope floating around. What are the main coping strategies of the people who were, you know, upset about the failure of Concord? Was that, oh, you know, people are over hero shooters. They're like, they're passe. We're burned out. Like, there's too, it's like the idea that cape shit is dead, right? Oh, I'm over it. Nobody wants to do superhero stuff anymore. It's not appealing. And yet this game comes out and it's blowing up. Millions of people are playing it. Why is that? I mean, I'll tell you why. It's simple. It's because it isn't actually dead. It's not actually a problem that these things exist. The problem is that the people who are creating this stuff, the people who we rely on to give us these experiences, they're not interested, they suck at it, and they don't have a general understanding of basic artistic principles. Meanwhile, China does. Now, what I want to say about this, I guess, just to end on, is let's put one more character up on screen. I think you like Scarlet Witch is pretty neat, or Spider-Man. Spider-Man's great. So one of the things that I wanted to say about this is that it is true that the Chinese government is pushing DEI and ESG stuff into Western development houses, and this is a problem. But what is the real problem? What, you know, as the saying goes, who is the bigger fool? The fool or the fool who follows him, right? So what's the real problem? Is it the fact that China is like engaging in kind of unscrupulous business practices, you know, by essentially convincing their competition to embody these woke bullshit ideologies and inject them into their video games so that China can sell their video games because they don't actually have those restrictions there? Or is it the Western developers that actually listen and take advice from these people? Because they are taking the advice. They are doing what China is suggesting, or at least these big companies like BlackRock and Vanguard. So maybe the problem is that they listen because they don't have to. And, you know, I'm going to be doing, hopefully working with indie devs in Europe and Western nations to try to like change the direction of our gaming culture. But in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to point at games like this and I'm going to say, you don't have an excuse. These people are doing it well. Why don't you? And I know why. It's because you don't want to. It's because you think that your work in the gaming industry is like your chance to change the world in the way that you think it should look, instead of just giving people what they want. And China just gave people what they want. They're just winning left, right, and center. And the main reason is not because they're brainwashing Western devs into doing woke garbage. It is because Western devs are choosing to do woke garbage instead of choosing to give gamers what they want. So anyway, I just wanted to like get that out there. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. What do you think about the art direction of these games? And do you see where I'm coming from when I talk about how, you know, this is something that we as Western developers, or that Western developers can choose to do. They can just do this because China can do it, they can do it, and they're just choosing not to do it. And yet China's knocking it out of the park. So thanks guys for checking out this video. I'm keeping this really short, no frills or anything like that, but I wanted to get your thoughts on it. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. And check out my live streams where I'll be playing through older games, retro games, and indie games. So check those out. This month is January, so we're gonna have ninja shit going on. Thanks guys for coming on the stream, or checking out this video rather. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Long live Vivian.